right? So you can read all of that in the Arabic sentence structure. Then what was the journey? Subhanallazi asra bi abdihi laylan min al-masjid al-harami ila al-masjid al-aqsa. It happened at night. It was a journey, and from Masjid al-Haram to Masjid al-Aqsa. Okay? And then it doesn't tell you anything. The sentence completes, but if you go to the next verse, it's talking about Musa and Bani Israel. In the entire surah, it doesn't say anything about Isra or Miraj. In fact, the Miraj is not mentioned explicitly in the Quran anywhere. There are some indirect inferences, but the word Miraj connecting to the Prophet is not there in the Quran. So then, it's only one single sentence in a beginning verse of a surah. So that is the amazing thing. So now the question is, let's say if you just stick to the Quran, then you see that some amazing journey took place. It doesn't give you the description how that happened, right? So you have to, in order to understand more details, you have to learn from the traditions, from the hadith and the other literature. And if you look at the hadith literature, there's mainly two major sources, two major narrators. One is Anas ibn Malik, the other is Abdullah ibn Abbas, and their descriptions do not match. And there are other variants and there are weaker descriptions, so it's very difficult to work out what is the full authentic detail what happened in the journey. Quran itself doesn't talk about Miraj itself, right? There's no word connecting to it. But then if you look at the Quran, not from this particular historical point of view, just look at the Quran as a text, then you'll find whether these concepts are in the Quran. So this is what I am showing in my first slide. So Quran is, you can find that, so as I said, it's very difficult to come to a comprehensive, authentic conclusion from hadith alone. So what I did, yeah? Okay, so now you see, we talk about Isra and Miraj, right? So I first verse I quoted that it's talking about Isra in Surah Al-Isra, the first verse. That's fine, there's no doubt, absolutely no doubt. And the verse, Arabic sentence construction already tells you it's something amazing journey. It's not, so it's started with Subhanallah. So that means it's not a normal journey, okay? So that we know. Now, where do I find Miraj? Just let's do a text search in the Quran. Where is Miraj? So you'll find that there is a surah Ma'arij. It's like a plural thing. But it's talking about Miraj of, not the Prophet, it's talking about Miraj of the angels. So that's the only mention of something having Miraj. So now I'll connect all these ideas that is scattered in the Quran. So what do you see there? It tells you, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Subhanallah, this is, the verse starts with, Minallahi ma'arij ta'rujul malaika wa ruh. So it tells you that he is the Lord of the Miraj, Lord of the Ma'arij, and from Allah, Lord of pathways of heavenly ascent, through which the angels and the Holy Spirit ascend to him. Minallahi jil ma'arij ta'rujul malaikati wa ruhu ilayhi fi yawmin kana miqdaruhu khamsina al-fasana. The angels and the ruh rise up to him in one day, but its count in your way would be 50,000 years. Khamsina al-fasana. Minallahi jil ma'arij ta'rujul malaikati wa ruhu ilayhi fi yawmin kana miqdaruhu khamsina al-fasana. So this is interesting. So this is another clue. It tells you when Miraj happens, based on Quran alone, it's also a miraculous thing. It's referring to it that people, the angels, they experience one day, but in your count, that one day is like 50,000 years. So that's very, very strange. So they cover 50,000 years distance in one day. Interesting. And then you come, then you look at the Isra verse. So what I'm saying, That Subhanallazi yasra bi abdihi laylan min al-masjidil harami ila al-masjidil aqsa barakna hawlahu linuriyahu min ayatina. So the Isra verse is already telling you what was the purpose of the Isra, right? The second part of that, it's linuriyahu min ayatina, so that God can enlighten the prophet, linuriyahu min ayatina, and show him his signs. Okay? So that was the purpose of the Isra, literally mentioned. The Miraj purpose, it doesn't tell you, it tells you how to get closer to God. Minallahi jil ma'arij. And then, but it's about the angels. And then you find, at least I find, at least another place where a similar concept is appearing. So here it says, that's why I started the presentation there. Wakajalika nuri Ibrahima. So it's talking about Ibrahim alayhi salam, that wakajalika nuri Ibrahim, that Ibrahim was enlightened. So if you translate, thus did we show Ibrahim the kingdom, malakuta, of the heavens and the earth, that he, Ibrahim, might be of those possessing certainty, mukinin, yakin. So now these are the three verses that I find clearly connecting to Isra and Miraj. So the first one sounds like Miraj happening to Ibrahim. And then it also gives you the purpose. Why Ibrahim, and it has a similar wording, Nuri Ibrahima, a similar structure appears in this Isra. So then if you connect the two, so then you see the Abrahamic verse, it's telling you, so that he can achieve certainty of sight, yakin. Okay? So that was the purpose of Ibrahim's Miraj. Why do I call it Miraj? Because it's about Ibrahim, the kingdom of the heavens and the earth. It did not say Malakuta Samawat, right? So that means it's not, and it's separating from the earth. So that means it's showing something. Samawat, the Arabic word sama means above everything you know, everything you see. So it's beyond you, beyond the universe. So that means what is beyond the universe was shown to Ibrahim. Why it was shown to Ibrahim? So that he can achieve certainty, yakin. He had iman, but he needs to be taken to the next step to achieve yakin. So that was the purpose. And you see something similar in the Isra verse, that prophet was taken from Masjidul Haram to Masjidul Aqsa, so that he can achieve, we can show him our signs. Linuriyahi min ayatina, so that he can also achieve yakin. So now you start to understand. Now you go to the historical context of the Miraj, that what was the time of, what period of life Prophet was having Miraj? When he was rejected by the Taif, of course by the Mokkan Quraysh. He lost his uncle, he lost his wife. So it's just before, the year before the Hijrah. So he was in the lowest of the low state of moral, right? And then he was told that all these things exist, and you teach, you preach, and you fight to your death. But he hasn't seen any of those things, right? On the other hand, apparently he looks like he's losing. He's losing support. His Quraysh, his own tribe doesn't support him. His neighboring city rejected him, humiliated him. He had support at home. His wife died. He had support in the little bit support in the clan. His uncle died. So then here is in the lowest of the low state of moral. So that is where this thing happened. So that is at that point what he needed to propagate his mission, to propagate his movement further, his own absolute certainty, yakin, like what the words used about the Ibrahim's Miraj. So he was in that stage. So Miraj happened before Hijrah, right? Then we know that the 5 times prayer, it started in Makkah after Miraj, right? So before Miraj, what was happening? Prophets were praying, but they were not praying 5 times. Most scholars agree that they were praying 3 times, like the Jewish prayer. People pray 3 times. In Hebrew, the Jewish prayer is Maghrib prayer. In Arabic, it's Maghrib. So there's very similar. So before Miraj, the prayers were like the Jewish prayer. Okay, so then I'm trying to bring you the Quranic light point of view about this journey and its historical context. Okay, so now you see that why he has to go to Masjidul Haram, he has to go from Masjidul Haram to Masjidul Aqsa. One of the first thing I was surprised, because this happened when Prophet was in Makkah. Jerusalem was not conquered by the Muslims. Jerusalem was conquered by Hazrat Umar. That's many years after Prophet died, right, passed away. So then there was nobody built Masjid al-Aqsa or anything. It was not even a Muslim land or anything. There was no masjid there. So I was very surprised that why a Meccan surah, Meccan verse is talking about Masjid al-Haram to Masjid al-Aqsa, whereas there was no masjid there, right? So what was there? And if you say that it's talking about Temple of Solomon, then it's also, then you would expect, at least I would expect, the verse to say Baitul Muqaddas. It's not talking about Baitul Muqaddas. It's talking about Masjidul Aqsa specifically. The Masjidul Aqsa you see in the map or in the TV, this is built after the building built after Omar. So then the only thing you can conclude, I concluded, and I think most people agree, that it must then be referring to the Masjidul Aqsa of the Quran, revealed in the Meccan time, must be referring then to the Sakra, which now we call Qubbatu Sakra, right? So that was the original Qibla. It was original Qibla, but it was not even original Qibla. It was Qibla at some point in time before when it was Qibla because Ark of the Covenant, the Jewish Ark of the Covenant, what Quran calls Tabut-e-Sakina, was placed on the Sakra. So then it became Qibla. So their idea, Temple of Solomon idea, was that this is a palace, a court of justice. It's like their parliament, so that their book of law, the tablets of Torah, should be at the center. It's like a concept of a parliament. So Baitul Muqaddas was built like that originally, right? So at the center, you should have the constitution, the book of law, Torah, and then surrounding it would be the court of justice. The ruler will implement. So that was Aqsa concept. But the Babylonians took it away, destroyed it first time. And then the Tabut-e-Sakina, what Quran calls Tabut-e-Sakina or Ark of the Covenant, that was gone, right? Then the Jewish people, the reason I focus on the Jewish history there, because they were the Muslims of that time. So to understand continuity, we have to agree that they're the Muslims of that time, and we have to we seriously understand their history, because Quran refers to it without giving many details, right? So then when the Tabut-e-Sakina was gone, the Ark of the Covenant was gone, the Jewish people decided to keep the Sakra as the Qibla, even though the book of law was gone and the box was gone. So that remained Qibla. So this is how it became a Qibla, but the real document, the dual box was gone, lost. So then further, Romans again destroyed it completely. So then it was everything, the building and everything was destroyed. So it's only a remnant in Mount Moriah where the Jewish people, the Christian people, the patriarchs of Jerusalem, at that time when the Miraj happened, that time it was not a Muslim land, right? Miraj happened when Prophet was in Makkah. So then it was a dumping ground. The Christian people used to dump their trash in the surrounding. So then only explanation, one possible explanation, what Masjidul Aqsa Quran was referring to in Meccan period, historically, which did not exist, no building exists there. So then has to be the Sakra. So then and now we call it Qubbat al-Sakra or Dome of the Rock, right? So that means, so now it comes to the spiritual part of it. So then on the Isra, Prophet ﷺ went to Sakra area, its surrounding, and then the description tells you that he prayed with all other prophets. And then it's not clear how many prophets were there, but it kind of symbolically established his spiritual leadership over the lineage of the prophets. So, but before I move to the Miraj part, let me tell you one important thing, that there is an enormous misunderstanding also even in the Islamic media. So a lot of the time you will see that the Miraj is depicted in art and architecture as someone riding a winged horse, right? This is a total misconception. I could not find any evidence there was a winged horse involved in this, in any authentic. First of all, Quran, I quoted where are the places in the Quran that talks about Miraj. Well, this makes a lot of people laugh about it, that, it's got to be a dream, someone riding a winged horse going from Mecca to Jerusalem. It's fairy tales, right? But if you carefully look at I checked many documents, there's no evidence there was a winged horse involved in it. So let me tell you that. So then you might say, okay, so didn't we see in Anas ibn Malik's hadith that there was a creature, Burak involved, and the Prophet, those things are real. But if you look at the wording of those things, you'll see that, let's say if it is a winged horse story, then that's a natural thing. So you, in the 7th century Arabia, if you want to convince your community that you went on a quick journey, you would think of a winged horse, because horse is much faster than donkey or mule, right? But then you can see that Prophet is actually, Anas ibn Malik's hadith or Ibn Abbas hadith, it's talking about a creature that's between mule and donkey. It's more like a donkey. So that counteracts the argument that Prophet is inventing a story that he had a fastest horse, flying horse, that took him. But it's actually counter-argument. It doesn't help. Donkey is a example of a slow-moving object, right? So that is what comes in the hadith literature. So now, but if you look at pay attention to the word, that it doesn't say that it's a donkey. It looks like Prophet is not even sure what type of creature it is. So in other words, he's describing the shape. So the burak, the literal word in Arabic, the meaning of the burak is something goes in a lightning speed. You shine light, it goes to the horizon. So then my understanding of it is that it's some sort of carrier that goes almost at the light speed. It goes to the horizon immediately. When you shine light, it goes to the horizon. But you'll see that in that hadith and all that literature, there's no description of winged horse or winged donkey or anything. It's some creature that's even symbolic of slow movement. But then it's telling you that it's a very fast mover, like a light speed movement, burak, right? It's like a fast lightning. So then you see that, so now it looks like it refers to, Prophet is referring to some sort of carrier that was not a horse. This is what actually ruled out, this careful study of the hadith, ruled out the possibility that it was actually not a winged horse, right? So it's symbolic. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. So then in that thing, you can see that this is a symbolic, some sort of spaceship type thing that took him to that. So it's some sort of like a time travel when you go that fast. So you can build a airplane that looks like a bird, but airplane is not the bird. So it's that burak description. It's kind of like something moves at the lightning speed, but it's not a donkey. It's something else. So that tells you that it's not winged horse thing. So he went there in some sort of miraculous way, and then he and also as I said, the Isra verse tells you it was not a dream because it describes like a physical thing. So it's one has to rule out the dream. So then the Miraj part is not in the Quran, but then you can understand. So Imam, I need about few minutes to show a few slides. So quickly, he went through different heavens, right, on a Miraj part. which comes entirely from the hadith, mainly from Anas ibn Malik's hadith. And as I said, the Ibrahim's Miraj told you that it's about gaining yaqeen. So there are different levels of yaqeen: ilmul yaqeen, ainal yaqeen, haqqul yaqeen, and you can trace these things in the Miraj, details of the Miraj event. I don't have time to go over this. So if you are to understand space-time to go on a Miraj part, you'll see that the space-time is like carved thing. It's like the surface of an earth. Then you take the skin out, so you can bend, right? So on the surface of the earth, if you want to go from one place to the other, you follow a curve. But if, in principle, if you could go through the earth, you might be going quicker, right? If you go through the center. So space-time in physics, we know that this happens. So it's like this. So space-time, you could, instead of going through this, like the surface of the earth, you could go through it. So that meant you could travel the distance on the other side of the earth in 1 day. But if you were to go around it, it will take 50,000 days. That's why I said when Quran describes Miraj, it says Miraj for the angels is like they do 1 day journey, which would otherwise take 50,000 years, right? So the Prophet's Miraj could be similar, although Quran doesn't say about Prophet's Miraj, but angels' Miraj is described similarly. So in other words, this is what I'm saying, that the normal route, if you go, it will take 50,000 years, but if you can go, cut through, so there is a technical term in physics, it's called wormhole. So wormhole journey will allow you to travel so the current size of the universe is like 90 billion light years, but you could travel in seconds. And these things are like different universes. So these are multiple universes. So it's like different heavens. So you could connect. So this is like Miraj. Miraj is like a ladder, shortcut path through space-time. So you go from one heaven to the other, to the other, to the other. These things are scientifically possible. So, physics allows you to have those things. So as I said, that both Isra and Miraj, Quran talks about, is to give you a sign so that you achieve yaqeen. That was true for the Abraham's Miraj, true for the Prophet's Miraj. So what are these signs? And then is this signs only for the Prophets? Quran tells you in other places, we shall show them our signs, meaning us, on the horizons, meaning the outer universe, and within themselves. That's the spiritual message, until it will be manifest unto them. So you'll achieve yaqeen. That is the truth, right? So behold, in the other places, I'm almost done. Behold, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, the alternation of night and day, there are indeed signs for men of understanding, ulul albab. So if you reflect on these things, you have a deeper understanding of God. Because the universe is like the artwork God. We only see the artwork, the painting. We don't know the painter. Who is the artist? So by studying the universe, that's at least my approach. By studying the universe, I'm trying to understand the artwork of God so that I can guess the mind of the God, right? Quran encourages you to do that, to study the universe, deeply reflect on it so that you can understand the mind of the artist who created the art. Okay, so I'm short on time, so I'll conclude that if you look at the self-similarity of the universe, so the electrons go around the nucleus in an atom, the smallest part of the universe. If you look at the solar system, it's also similar, right? The planets go around the sun. So then if you, like in Abrahamic conviction process, Abraham was told, Aslim, he said, Aslam tuli Rabbil Alameen. So then only human beings, atoms or the solar system, they don't have a choice. They have to do it. Only human beings can choose to submit or not. So if you submit, then you adopt this monotheism, right? So you circle the Abrahamic symbol of Kaaba in natural state with the universe. So I will conclude here. So as I said, that I try to give you a different perspective, mainly from the Quran, and science, but I could not find anything that is not, none of these things are impossible. There are many mechanisms that is possible, but I do not know how these things happen. It's like someone told me that I sent my son from Princeton to New York. That's all it told me. And I'm trying to guess, how did that happen? Did that happen by bus or train or fly? So this is like that. The Quran tells you the Prophet was taken from Masjidul Haram to Masjidul Aqsa and then to the seventh heavens. We're trying to guess how could that have happened. But don't get the impression that I know how that happened. All I told you that there are many possible ways that we can rationally think of that can happen with the modern science. That's my main message. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that beautiful presentation, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you. So now, inshallah ta'ala, we will now be having a communal recitation of Surah Yasin, as we mentioned. So inshallah ta'ala, if you could get out your translation on your phone and follow along with Ismail, and let us make our intention, inshallah ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through the barakah of this reading of the Quran,
thank you so much.
Allah forgives us, that He purifies our hearts, and that He allows us to be present as we commemorate this beautiful journey of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Isra al-Mi'raj. And lastly, for the people of Turkey and Syria, we ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alleviate their pain, their suffering, give them relief and aid, bi'idhnih. And inshallah ta'ala, for Isha prayer, Sheikh Ismail in the last rak'ah will be doing a qunut prayer, inshallah ta'ala, for that reason as well. So inshallah, without further ado,
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم
قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أأتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغن عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وأعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون ومن نعمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم ير الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون صدق الله العظيم.
الله 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 تكبير. ما شاء الله جزاك الله خير حبيبي. So mashallah, a taste of Taraweeh, a taste of Ramadan, inshallah. We say, Allahumma ballighna Ramadan. May Allah allow us, deliver us to Ramadan, Ya Rabb. So inshallah, now it's Isha time. I will be, after Isha, I will give my portion of the talk, inshallah, from the Musalla. But then we'll come back here for refreshments, and Shakir Bhai will give some more nasheed. And inshallah, if Dr. Zaid as well, if you have any questions for him, that would be a good time for that as well. Inshallah ta'ala. So after the prayer, after the talk, come on back, get some refreshments. And lastly, there will be a qunut, inshallah, in the last rak'ah of Isha. So if you feel something different's happening, know that something is happening and it's okay. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.